I'm Ellie and welcome to my Geography NEA A-Level support series. In this video, we are going to be talking all about geographical literature and why it's so important for your NEA. So I'm going to break it down into three things. What is geographical literature and why is it important for your NEA? How can we find good academic sources, including using ChatGPT? And I'm going to show you how I found some sources. I'm literally going to talk you through my process and show you how I came up with really original hypotheses. And this is the main reason literature is so exciting for students, is it can help you come up with an original NEA idea. Now the NEA, or non-examined assessment, is all about your independent investigation, and it's all about trying to create an original piece of work and something that you're interested in. And geographical literature can really help strengthen your NEA reports and can really set you up for success. So it's a really important video. Let's dive straight in. So what is academic writing or academic literature and why is it important? So academic writing or literature is written by researchers on a specific field. So it's those people who work in universities as researchers, or it might be people undertaking their PhD, and they're interested in a particular part of geography and they write up their research findings. It might be with one person, it might be multiple academics working together, which is often the case, and they often carry out research and share their findings. So do you need academic research in your NEA? The answer is yes. First of all, because the exam board asks you to. It's part of the mark scheme. They want you to refer to academic writing and literature. But really what it means is that it's talking about how your NEA is part of a wider geographical conversation. Your research is embedded in geographical concepts and ideas and theories that others have researched. And so you're linking your project to this broader conversation, and that's why we're including academic literature. Academic writing can help you in the following ways. It helps you to provide context for your topic, to explain why your topic is important. It can help you understand what other geographers have discovered. It can help you refine your hypotheses. It can help you refine your methods and what you might want to investigate, because you might have read about someone researching using a certain type of method or interview. And it can also help you within your analysis when you're comparing your results to it, often with a comparative study. But let's focus on two of those in detail, and I think this is where literature is the most important part for having a strong foundation for your NEA. So one is helping to guide your hypotheses. The best NEAs use a piece of literature as the foundation, and it can inspire their hypotheses. When you're writing your introduction, you need 2 or 3 sub-questions or hypotheses. But if they're linked to theory, they're much stronger. Your literature is embedded in your NEA. It is not a standalone thing that you just have to squeeze in your introduction. You've thought about your literature in the planning stage, and that can help you throughout your whole project. So say you're interested in a certain topic, you've done the initial planning for your NEA. You now want to see what previous academic research has been said about it, or what people have found out about it. And that can be used to help guide your hypotheses. I'm going to give you an example of that in the third section of this video. And that's really important. You can really see the thinking behind how I found literature, and then I've helped it to guide my hypotheses. And the second part, which I think is really important, is if you can try and find a comparative study. Now this might be the same article that's helped to guide your hypotheses, or it just might be a comparative study maybe for one of your hypotheses or sub-questions. But a comparative study is about someone investigating something very similar to you but in a different location. So say someone investigated regeneration in an area, looking at how maybe brownfield sites or old industrial areas have changed into maybe hubs of economic activity. And say you've got something very similar that you're investigating, you can compare your results to what other researchers have found. Or say you're looking at woodlands and carbon storage, you can compare your results of a woodland that you're studying to the results of others who've also studied maybe carbon storage in woodland areas, and you can see whether your results are similar. And this is where the comparative study can really strengthen your analysis, because when you're looking at your results, once you've collected your data, you've presented your results and you're analysing your data, you can then say, this is what I found, or this is what the report or the results show. And this is similar or dissimilar to the research. And then that gives you opportunity to have more discussion about why that might be the case. And the strongest NEAs, the ones that score the highest marks, have literature at the start, and they weave it through the analysis, and they come to a final conclusion linking back to that original literature. And that is why it's so important that you think about literature from the start of your NEA, not when you start writing it. You're thinking about it before you actually collect your data, when you're thinking of your hypotheses, because that will make for a much better analysis and overall a higher score later on for your NEA. Now let's discuss where to find good sources of academic writing. First of all, textbooks. For some reason, my students just forget that textbooks have loads of things to do with geography, particularly linked to the specification. And remember, your NEA needs to be linked to the specification, so there's going to be really interesting parts in the textbook that is linked to your specification, particularly for physical geography, really good diagrams that you can use. Human geography, you can define key terms as well. So I would always start by at least having one of your sources of academic writing or literature. That is the textbook. A really important foundation. In terms of academic writing, so we're talking about what researchers have found, there's a few ways you can find these articles. So one big issue with academic articles is a lot of it is behind a paywall. What that means is you have to pay to access the academic articles. If you go on to study at university, your university email will allow you to have free access to academic articles and journals from around the world. You don't have to pay for them. But we find that students, particularly with A level, because we don't have that access, you can hit sometimes this barrier where you can't access it. So you might find the kind of initial summary of an article, but you're not able to access it. However, there are loads of great freely available articles. One way you can find academic articles is going onto Google Scholar. So type into the Google Scholar search bar, you search the topic that you're interested in, so say how urban regeneration has impacted sense of place. But then because you can often reach the paywall, I recommend you writing a free PDF. And this normally comes up with articles that are freely accessible for you to find. You'll see on the right hand side there's normally a little PDF button, and it means you can click it straight away, and that's one way you can find academic writing. The other way, which I've been really encouraging my students to do more recently, is using ChatGPT. Now, you are using ChatGPT to find articles and links to articles. You're not using summaries on ChatGPT. That is not an academic source. You're asking them to find an article. So therefore, the prompt you put in is really important. So for example, your prompt needs to be, I am looking for an article for my NEA geography project. The project is based on carbon storage in woodland areas. Find an academic article which is freely accessible and provide me with the link. And they will hopefully provide you with a few articles with the link. And actually, I found that ChatGPT has a higher success rate than Google Scholar because it can actually give you articles which are more relevant more quickly. You might not get the first one straight away, and I'll show you how you can maybe amend your prompts to get an article that's more suitable. Also, in terms of like academic articles, there are specific A-level ones that you can focus on. So there's magazines such as Geography Review, there's Geo Fact Sheets, Geofile. So sometimes schools have subscription to these, and they might have useful investigations that you can compare your results to. In terms of academic writing and literature reviews, you can also think about government reports. So these offer solid data on case studies, especially for human geography projects, particularly with kind of urban environments. So they can be useful as well. As you're gathering all your literature for your NEA, do you have a consideration for how reliable your sources are? So as we've mentioned, you mainly want to focus on academic sources. These are considered the most reliable. They are peer-reviewed, which means people have read each other's articles before they have been officially published. Government reports can be useful, as I've said before. However, these may be a bit more biased because they might have been produced for a specific agenda. You can use newspapers, particularly for local context. However, newspapers don't talk about the kind of geographical field or the research area within geography. So they are useful, as I said, for the context of place, but they shouldn't form the main part of your literature that underpins your NEA. You can use podcasts or even interviews if people are interviewing academics and they're talking about a piece of work. That's a very valid way of using research. I wouldn't use Wikipedia, and I wouldn't use just revision websites. Those are more just like summaries and they aren't considered academic writing. So do have a think about who has written the work that you're looking at, when it was written, is it really old and therefore is it relevant? And maybe even where the data was collected. Is it collected in a place that is similar to where you're looking, or is it collected in a city that's completely different maybe from where you're studying? Okay, so let's look at how I did this and how I used ChatGPT to find a really good article and help to define my hypotheses. So this is the prompt that I put into ChatGPT. Find a suitable academic article for an A-level geography NEA. I'm investigating well-being and access to green space. And this is what ChatGPT came up with. This one was associated with the report of access public green space with physical activity and subjective well-being. So already I can see that it's linked to well-being and linked to green space. It's got the link and it's a free PDF. Now, interestingly, I didn't actually write free PDF in my prompt, but you really should do, because I did try this with another topic and it just came across an article and it was like pay £40 for it or something like that. So then I had to write, please can you give me a free article? So this one is all about public green space, physical activity and subjective well-being. So already I've looked at it, I'm like, okay, cool, they're talking about green space, but they're also talking about physical activity. That's quite interesting. Maybe I could also research physical activity. So I know that physical activity can maybe improve people's well-being because you're outdoors, there's endorphins. So maybe actually green space links to physical activity and also well-being. So I'm starting to gather some ideas about how this literature might help shape my NEA project. So there's some key things in this literature which are useful to consider. First of all, they have a quite interesting definition. They talk about green exercise, such as walking or running in green spaces. So again, that's another thing that I'm like, oh, that's actually quite interesting. They actually have some very interesting results too. So they look at what well-being is, and they look at how well-being differs depending on how close you live to the park. So if you live under a 5-minute walk away, 5 to 10 minute walk away, or over a 10-minute walk away, and they found that people who live a 5-minute walk away have a better subjective well-being than those who live a 10-minute walk away. And therefore that's really interesting as well, because that potentially could be one method that I'm interested in studying. I could find out how far people live from the park and how their well-being improves, or I could even look at my mood survey or something like that, depending on distance from the park. And they actually had their results, and this is where we have this idea of a comparative study, because I could, if I investigated minutes from a park and well-being scores, maybe I can compare my results to their results. Now, this article was based on COVID and how people use green space differently with COVID, which was actually quite interesting because particularly with socialising, green space became really important because then people could have more kind of social distancing measures in green space. And also people were obviously stuck in their homes much more, so therefore people might have been using green spaces more. So these were the hypotheses that I came up with using this article as inspiration. People who live closer to green spaces engage more in physical activity. Proximity to green space is positively associated with higher levels of well-being. And then I've got kind of 2 questions. So those were 2 statements, more like testable hypotheses. And then my questions are, how does the use of green space vary across different age groups? That might be quite useful. I could think about maybe a statistical test that could link with that. And maybe what impact did the COVID-19 pandemic have on people's use of green space? So some really interesting things. I can already see from this process how my initial idea of just green space and well-being, which I know is part of the specification, how I've used this article to come up with some much more unique and interesting questions and hypotheses. However, this is linked to COVID, so I did ask ChatGPT to find me an article that wasn't linked to COVID. So I literally wrote, after this one, find another article which does not link to COVID-19. And they came up with 2 different articles. One was the association between green urban space quality and mental well-being, a systematic review. And then the second one was the importance of green space for mental health. Now, this one I also found really interesting. Again, this was a free article, so I had a read of it, and these were the following things that I found really interesting. The article talked about how the quality of green spaces may be a crucial factor influencing well-being. They looked at the quality of green spaces divided into 3 domains, including spatial features, natural elements, and facilities and amenities. So for example, how large is the park? How biodiverse is the park? Like, what natural features are there? Is it well maintained with walking paths, and are there facilities and infrastructure? And I thought this was really interesting because I have a dog and I walk my dog, and on the weekend I actually prefer to go to one park more than another, mainly because it has a cafe and I can have a coffee there on the weekend. Whereas the other park, which is the same distance, there's nothing there really. There's just more of a field. And actually that is quite interesting because that encourages where I go, and actually I prefer one park and I'm probably happier in one park because of the infrastructure there. There's also more children's play parks, so lots of families go there, and it attracts different people, particularly as it's actually more accessible in some ways. So therefore, this can help me make hypotheses based on the quality of green space, and you can see how my initial idea of well-being and green space has changed depending on the article that I found. So these are the hypotheses that I've come up with using this academic article. People who live near accessible green parks have a higher level of well-being. So that's the accessible part of what they said with the linking to the domains. Urban parks with richer biodiversity and more natural features positively influence mental well-being. I could potentially do lots of research here in terms of how biodiverse parks are. I could look at the amount of trees, or maybe even the carbon storage, and what other natural features there are, for example, ponds and lakes. And then my third hypothesis is urban parks with better amenities are more effective at reducing stress. And that's what the article also talked about, how there's amenities and how people enjoy them and how that can reduce stress. What I thought might be quite interesting here is what I said before, is actually maybe comparing 2 different parks. So instead of having one park, I'm actually comparing the quality of 2 different parks, looking at who goes to each park and what influences people's decisions, and where people prefer to go, and how that impacts place and how that impacts well-being. So really what I wanted to show is that therefore my initial idea of well-being and green space, I've come up with completely different independent hypotheses for 2 different studies, all basing my hypotheses on different types of literature. And that literature has formed the basis of my NEA, and that is what makes a really strong NEA. I know it's hard looking at academic articles. I find it hard. I do find them quite wordy. So just take your time. Don't get stressed about it. Read a few abstracts, see if they're relevant, and then it's really important to print them out. Sometimes it's quite hard to read so much on a page. So print out 1 or 2 articles that are interesting. See if you can understand what they're saying. You might not understand everything in the article. Academics do sometimes write in quite a complex way. But as long as you're understanding the kind of key trends and ideas that are coming up, that can really help you with your NEA. And as I've said, this is what helps to make the most interesting NEAs, and the NEAs that have the strongest foundation for future success. So that's it for this NEA video on selecting and using geographical literature. Hope you found it useful. Let me know how you're getting on, and subscribe if you did find it useful, and definitely pass it on.